Madha Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Jaya Girivaradhari Jaya Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jai Radha Radha Nata Radhe Jaya Giri Govardhan Jaya Giri Govardhan Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Nitai Gaura Hari Bo Nitai Gaura Hari Bo Jai Jai Prabhupada Jai Jai Prabhupada ki Jai Jaya Om Vishnu Paraparamhamsa Privaracharya Satasara Shla A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki Jai Jaya Om Vishnu Paraparamhamsa Privaracharya Asudasara Shri Bhaktisanta Saraswati Maharaj ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Namacharya Shri Haridas Thakur ki jai. Prem Se Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Shri Shri Radha Radhanath ki jai. Shriman Mahaprabhu ki jai. Shri Giri Raj Govardhana ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Go Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Hare Krishna, dear devotees, welcome to today's seminar. Today we'll be discussing on the light of the Bhagavata, analogy 3. So let's begin. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Analogy 3. Attracted by electricity throughout the sky and driven by forceful winds, clouds gradually cover the surface of the earth to satisfy the needy people by supplying water, which is the substance of their life. The clouds bestow rain upon man as the mercy of the Lord, who is always kind to the needy living beings. So we see here in this analogy, the analogy of the clouds and the rain is being given. And we'll get more insight into this as we read the purport. So let's read the purport. By His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. We should always know that God is ever kind to us, despite our gross disobedience to the laws of God's nature. The Lord is kind enough to look after our maintenance. Water is one of the most important items for our maintenance, because without water, we can neither produce food grains nor quench our thirst. Water is required very liberally for many other purposes. Thus, the Lord has preserved water on 3/4 of the globe and has made it salty to preserve it. Salt water does not decompose, and that is the arrangement of providence. The Lord has engaged the powerful sun to evaporate the water of planets like Earth and distill it into clear water in the clouds, and then stock it on the peaks of mountains. As we stock water in overhead tanks for later distribution, part of the stock of water is refrigerated into ice so that it will not flood the earth for no good purpose. The ice melts gradually throughout the year, flows down through the great rivers, and glides down to the sea again for preservation. Therefore, the laws of God's nature are neither blind nor accidental, as men with poor fund of knowledge conclude. Behind the law of God is the living brain of God, just as there is always a lawmaker behind the laws of the state. It does not matter whether or not we see the lawmaker behind the common laws. We must admit that there is a lawmaker. Matter can never work automatically without a living hand, and therefore we must admit the existence of God, the supreme living being, behind the laws of nature. The Lord says in Bhagavad Gita that nature works under His superintendence. Maya dakshena prakriti suyate sa characharam. Hetunena nena kunteya jagat viparivarsite. This material nature, which is one of my energies, is working under my direction, O son of Kunti, producing all moving and non-moving beings. Under its rule, this manifestation is created and annihilated again and again. This is Bhagavad Gita 9:10. Nature is only a powerful, and behind the power is a powerful powerhouse and a brain. So let me read that again. Nature is only a power, and behind the power is a powerhouse and a brain. Just as behind electrical power, there is an electrical powerhouse where everything is conducted by the brain of the resident engineer. The material nature works so nicely and not blindly because of the superintendence of the supreme powerful God. In the Vedic hymns, Atharva Veda, the same thing is confirmed. It is only under the superintendence of God that all the natural laws are conducted. The Lord distributes his mercy in the form of rain on the scorched earth at times of dire necessity. He supplies rain when we are practically on the verge of death for want of water. God is merciful, undoubtedly, but he bestows his mercy on us when we need it most. This is so because we forget God as soon as we obtain this mercy. We should therefore remember the mercy of God constantly if we want to avoid distress. We are eternally related with him despite the state of forgetfulness. Already described above, Bhagavad Gita confirms that the laws of nature are stringent because they are conducted by the three modes. But one who surrenders unto the Lord overcomes the stringency of nature easily. In the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord affirms this. Devi hi esa gunamai, mama maya durachaya, mam eva ye prapajante, mayam etam tarantite. This divine energy of mind, consisting of the three modes of material nature, is difficult to overcome, but those who have surrendered unto me can easily cross beyond it. This is Bhagavad Gita 7:14. Om Jnana Timirandhasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Sapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Tadati Swapadantikam. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radhakanta Namaste Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusate Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchikalpatarubhescha Kripa Sindhubhyev cha Patitanam Pavinebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So dear devotees, we see that with this analogy, we see how merciful the Lord is, in that the living entity is sustained by water, whether it be cooking, drinking, bathing, growing food, manufacturing, and so on. So we need water to sustain us. Our bodies are made of 70% of water, according to the scientists. So here Srila Prabhupada states that 3/4 of the globe is covered by salty water for preservation, because salty water does not decompose. And you will find also that, when they want to preserve like canned food like that, they preserve it in brine. Brine is salty water. So in this way, the food does not decompose. The Lord has arranged condensation to take place so that the water is evaporated from the sea and it becomes purified and it comes down as rain. Rain is then stocked on peaks of mountains, has snow. It's frozen until we need it again. This is intelligent design by the Lord. So we see that Krishna's brain or his intelligence is so vast that he's giving us all these methods, and that is how modern day scientists are able to build refrigerators and coolers in order to preserve things. So this is all coming from the Supreme Lord, right? The intelligence behind all of these things is coming from Krishna himself. So this is the Lord's mercy upon us fallen conditioned souls. Just assume if the Lord withdrew his mercy and held back rainfall, we would be in such chaos here, right? As to where to get those bare necessities. Like at the moment in the North Coast in Tonga, actually, they're going through such crisis. They don't have water for almost 2 months now. And, it's been really, really very difficult. I know I have some relatives in Tonga that, that I met recently, and they've been telling me it's been so difficult without water. So like this, Prabhupada also gives a verse from the Bhagavad Gita 9:10, in which he states, let me just open to that and we can read some part of the Bhagavad Gita, where the Lord herein states that this material nature, which is one of my energies, is working under my direction, O son of Kunti, producing all moving and non-moving beings. Under its rule, this manifestation is created and annihilated again and again. So in the purport, we'll just read the purport quickly and see what Prabhupada is trying to tell us here in this purport. It is clearly stated here that the Supreme Lord, although aloof from all activities of the material world, remains the Supreme Director. The Supreme Lord is the Supreme Will and the background of this material creation, but the management is being conducted by material nature. Krishna also states in Bhagavad Gita that of all the living entities in different forms and species, I am the Father. The Father gives seed to the womb of the mother for the child, and similarly the Lord, by his mere glance, injects all living entities into the womb of material nature, and they come out in their different forms and species according to their last desires and activities. All these living entities, although born under the glance of the Supreme Lord, takes their different bodies according to their past deeds and desires. So the Lord is not directly attached to this material creation. He simply glances over material nature. Material nature is thus activated and everything is created immediately because he glances over material nature. He's undoubtedly there is undoubtedly activity on the part of the Supreme Lord, but he has nothing to do with the manifestation of the material world directly. This example is given in the Smriti, where there is a fragrance flower before someone. The fragrance is not touched by the smelling power of the person. The fragrance is touched by the smelling power of the person, yet the smelling and the flower are detached from one another. There is a similar connection between the material world and the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Actually, he has nothing to do with the material nature. Without the superintendence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, without the superintendence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, cannot do anything. Material nature cannot do anything. Yet the Supreme Personality is detached from all material activities. So here it is being described that the Lord, although he glances over material nature and material nature is activated, he still remains aloof of material nature, in that the simple analogy of the fragrant flower is given. Just as the fragrant flower touches the smelling power of a person, yet the flower and the fragrance are detached, so from one another. So this is how the Lord is detached from the material world, although he sets everything in motion with his glance. So we see from here that everything is ordained by the Supreme Personality of Godhead and is carried out by material nature. I just want to read something to you from the first canto of the Bhagavatam. Let's just go there and I can show you that. One second, I'm just trying to share my screen. Okay, maybe not. So, dear devotees, let me just try to get there, and then we can. Yeah. Okay. Give me a second. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. I won't be long. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So, dear devotees, I just want to read you this purport of this verse 1829 from the Srimad Bhagavatam, where the Lord's mercy is being described. And let's read that to you now. O Lord, no one can understand your transcendental pastimes, which appear to be human and are misleading. You have no specific objection or favor, nor do you have any object of envy. People only imagine that you are partial. So in the purport, Srila Prabhupada very elaborately explained the mercy of Krishna. The Lord's mercy upon the fallen souls is equally distributed. He has no one as the specific object of hostility. The very conception of the personality of Godhead as a human being is misleading. His pastimes appear to be exactly like a human being's, but actually they are transcendental and without any tinge of material contamination. He is he is undoubtedly known as partial to his pure devotees, but in fact, he is never partial, as much as the sun is never partial to anyone. By utilizing the sun rays, sometimes even the stones become valuable, whereas a blind man cannot see the sun, although there are enough sun rays before him. Darkness and light are two opposite conceptions, but this does not mean that the sun is partial in not in distributing its rays. The sun rays are open to everyone, but the capacity of the receptacles differ. Foolish people think that devotional service is flattering the Lord to get special mercy. Factually, the pure devotees who are engaged in the transcendental loving service of the Lord are not a mercantile community. A mercantile house renders service to someone in exchange for values. The pure devotee does not render service unto the Lord for such exchange, and therefore the full mercy of the Lord is open for him. Suffering men, needy men, inquisitive persons, or philosophers may temporary connections with the Lord to serve a particular purpose. When the purpose is served, there is no more relation with the Lord. A suffering man, if he is pious at all, prays to the Lord for his recovery. But as soon as the recovery is over, in most cases, the suffering man no longer cares to keep any connection with the Lord. The mercy of the Lord is open for him, but he is reluctant to receive it. That is the difference between a pure devotee and a mixed devotee. Those who are completely against the service of the Lord are considered to be in abject darkness. Those who are for the Lord's favor only at the time of necessity are partial recipients of the mercy of the Lord, and those who are 100% engaged in the service of the Lord are full recipients of the mercy of the Lord. Such partiality in receiving the Lord's mercy is relative to the recipient, and it is not due to the partiality of the all-merciful Lord. When the Lord descends to this material world by his all-merciful energy, he plays like a human being, and therefore it appears that the Lord is partial to his devotees only. But that is not a fact. Despite such apparent manifestations of partiality, his mercy is equally distributed in the battlefield of Kurukshetra. In the battlefield of Kurukshetra, all persons who died in the fight before the presence of the Lord got salvation without the necessary qualifications, because death before the presence of the Lord purifies the passing soul from the effects of all sins, and therefore the dying man gets a place somewhere in the transcendental abode. Somehow or other, if someone puts himself in the sun rays, he is sure to get the requisite benefit both by heat and ultraviolet rays. Therefore, the conclusion is that the Lord is never partial. It is wrong for people in general to think of him as partial. So the purport ends there. So we see that here how the Lord's mercy is being equally distributed to all living entities, just as the sun's rays are distributed equally to everyone, regardless of race, color, creed, man or animal. So the Lord's mercy is similarly equally distributed to all living entities. So we just need to tap into the Lord's mercy in order to get the full benefit of that. So, you know, we need to actually acknowledge the supremacy of the Lord. And if we do not acknowledge this, then how can we get the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead? Here, Srila Prabhupada also states that foolish people think that devotional service is flattering the Lord to get special mercy. You know, sometimes people ask us, why do you trouble God so much? Why do you only chant? Every time we see you, your hand is in the bead bag, and you're only chanting. Give God a break. You know, he must be getting so tired of you calling his name. But they do not understand that we are not doing this, you know, for our own satisfaction, but we are doing it for the satisfaction of Krishna, because he asks us to do this, right? To always chant his holy names and to always think of him 24 hours. Man mana bhava mad bhakto mam yaji mam namaskuru. Right? This verse in the Srimad Bhagavad Gita, that, you know, always think of me, become my devotee, offer your homage unto me, and in this way you will come to me at the end. So we find that this is actually devotional service, by dedicating our entire lives to the satisfaction of Krishna. And we actually get the mercy, right? We do not do this for some monetary gain or for some exchange. In this way, we get the full mercy of the Lord. Those who are mercantile get a partial mercy, right? Because they want something from the Lord. So they get partial mercy, as stated in the purport. Srila Prabhupada says that everyone who left their bodies on the battlefield of Kurukshetra got his mercy, and because they died in the presence of the Lord. So the Lord is so merciful that, whoever died on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, in his presence, got the full mercy of Krishna. Most of them were actually his enemies, but they got the full mercy irrespective, because he is all pure, and whoever leaves his body in the presence of the Supreme Lord, you know, is free from all sins. Similarly, Krishna states in the Bhagavad Gita 8:5, Ante kale chamam eva smaran muktva kalevaram ya prayati samadbhavam yati nasti atra samsaya. And whoever at the end of his life quits his body, remembering me, alone at once attains my nature. Of this there is no doubt. So just to round up, we see that the Lord preserves this most essential necessity for the living entity, which is water, by preserving it in the seas as salty water. Then he evaporates and it forms rain again. It comes down again for human consumption. He stores it on the mountain peaks, and in summer it slowly melts and it comes down in the form of rivers, and it comes to the dams for our consumption. Some of it is evaporated and it comes down again. So this is only due to the sacrificing of our time to praise and worship him through the holy names. I'll say this again. This is only due to the sacrificing of our time, right? We need to sacrifice our time in order to praise and worship Krishna through his holy names, because this is the Sankirtan Yajna for this age, right? Today is the World Holy Name Day, right? And so basically these holy names are so potent. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So we need to chant these holy names in order to get the full benefit or the full mercy of the Lord. In the Bhagavad Gita 4:14, there's a verse that all living bodies subsist on food grain, which are produced from rains. Rains are produced by sacrifice or yagya, and yagya is born of prescribed duties. So here we have it that, the living entity, we subsist on food grains, right? And food grains are produced from rains. Rains are produced by sacrifice or yagya. And the yagya for this age is Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Hari Nama, Eva Kevalam, Kalo Nasti Eva, Nasti Eva, Nasti Eva Gatiranyatha. That just chant the holy names, chant the holy names, chant the holy names. There is no other way, no other way, no other way. So the yagya for this age is chanting the holy names. So in order for us to receive the mercy of the Lord in the form of rains and sunlight and moonlight. Moonlight is there to nourish the vegetables, right? Sunlight, it has immense value, right, on our health, and also in food production as well. So these are bare necessities that we live. In some of Prabhupada's purports, he states that scientists cannot produce sunlight, they cannot produce moonlight, nor can they cannot produce rain. So it's only God who supplies these necessities to us, yet they defy the existence of God, right? And they are turning the whole world into atheists. Why? Because they say there's no God, or God is dead, that they are actually producing things. But where is they producing all these artificial means, right? And they're just manipulating the ingredients that are already there, that God has given them. They are manipulating these ingredients. They are not actually producing anything. So, the sun is so huge, right? Can they produce something as huge as the sun to supply light, heat, and light to the whole universe? No, they cannot do that. This is all God's arrangement, right? So God has, and they call it, some of the scientists now call it intelligent design, because they know that it's coming from a source which is beyond their conception. And that source is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And we as devotees, we are so fortunate to actually come across all of this knowledge from Srila Prabhupada's books. In the books, Life Comes from Life, Prabhupada defeats the scientists left, right, and center by using simple, simple examples. He says, they say they'll create life in the future. What life can they produce in the future? They cannot produce life. They cannot even, for now, temporarily, they cannot even produce a bug, a mosquito. They cannot produce. What life can they produce in the future? So Prabhupada, he goes, to town, basically defeating these scientists left, right, and center. So we should actually read these books and gain more knowledge and gain deeper faith in the process of Krishna consciousness in order to make progress on our spiritual path back home, back to Godhead. So, dear devotees, I would like to stop there. And if anyone has any questions or anyone has any contribution to this class, you're most welcome to do now. You can make your contributions. I really appreciate that. Hare Krishna. Paramatma Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you so much for refreshing our memory on all the scriptures, and It's so easy to forget, but listening to you, we get reminded of what all the important parts of the scriptures. Thank you so much, Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Denton?
Hare Krishna. Yes, thank you. It also reminded me, as we were talking about it, we did the Bhagavad Gita with you last year, and it's quite nice just to have it all as a memory. Oh, I know that. I learned that. It was very like a refresher for me. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So partial, this might not be what we were discussing, but just a question. With partial devotees, right? They're rendering service, and they will become full-time devotees. It's beneficial.
Yes. They get the partial mercy of Krishna, because at the moment we've all basically have come through that, right? We have come through some sort of method to Krishna consciousness in which we wanted something from the Lord, right? So in the Bhagavad Gita, there are 4 types of persons that come to the Lord. One who's desiring wealth, one who is in seek of knowledge, the distress, and the desire of wealth. Inquisitive, yeah. So basically, these 4 types of people come to Krishna, and when they start chanting the holy names of Krishna, they get purified of their desires, and then they, become pure devotees. So yes, it's the first step of becoming purified, basically. So they get the partial mercy of the Lord, and then they get the full mercy of the Lord thereafter.
Thank you so much, Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Okay, maybe we'll just do more kirtan and we'll stop. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Go Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Anchakalpatrubhyaischa kripa sindhubhyevacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare Krishna.